Hello, everybody. I have today the pleasure of introducing to you my friend and a pivoter extraordinaire. I've learned a lot from her story, so I want her to share a little bit about that. Her name is Dixie Lincoln Nichols, and she focuses on well aging, a specific focus that includes menopause, and many of us have our own mini menopause story. So I was eager to connect with her. Anyway, welcome, Dixie. Tell us about I know you've made a lot of pivots, like a lot of us.
Hmm.
Tell us about a major one, and what that looks like.
Gotcha. Well, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here to share my pivot, one of many, but this one's a major one that I love to share. So, 12 years ago, I had myself an eat, pray, love moment, and I left my job, my science teaching position for a self-care sabbatical. I embarked on this sabbatical because something started to stir inside of me at around 38 or so. I could not put my finger on it. I'd made a covenant with myself, and my children that I'm going to be there for you. You are my priority. You are my first priority. But then something shifted at around that age. And I remember recalling an episode of Oprah Winfrey's show where she had a guest on. Her name was, I think, something Richardson. I forgot her first name. Anyway, they were talking about self-care, Cheryl Richardson. And my daughter was about 6 months at the time. And the question was, would you put yourself before your child? And she said, yes. And the crowd was like, oh no, how dare she? Oh my God. And I remember thinking the same thing because I had an infant. I was 19 at the time. I was a teenage mom. But right around 38, that conversation started to replay in my head. And I started to realize, you are not being fulfilled here. You are fulfilling everyone else's needs. Everything you do is through the lens of what the people who you love need. And I was like, girl, my grandmother said to me, jump, life and God will catch you. And that's all I needed to hear. So your girl jumped. Life and God has been catching me. It's the reason why you and I are having this conversation today. But I also know that I needed to fill my cup. I needed because I was pouring out. It was almost on empty. And I started digging into going in and trying to figure out what I needed, what I wanted with my life, and not locking in on anything, but deciding that just take the journey. Don't be married to the outcome. Learn, grow. And that's exactly what I did. Over the past 12 years, there has been tremendous growth, so much unlearning, so much relearning. I became a health and wellness coach. I started a business, two businesses actually, one that I closed last year, August on the 31st. I had that for 5.5 years, an award-winning beauty and retail company that I loved dearly. But again, tuning into the sensations of my own body, what was actually happening, what was real for me, and what was not, always leads me to the decisions that I need to make for my well-being. And as hard as it was to close that business, it was also easy because I had a goal. And the goal was if ABC didn't happen within 5 years, after all the work that you put in, this was the road that you were going to take. And so that was it. Pivot number, I don't even know. Can't even recall because there are so many of them. But with every adventure, with every journey that I take in my life, it leads me someplace special and it teaches me so much. So here I am in this new space with Life in the Pause. I have a business partner now because all of that led me to realize that I don't want to do things by myself. It is hard having people with you, like-minded people who are on this journey with you, who have similar goals and aspirations, but also need the support. Oh my gosh, it's priceless. This venture I'm on right now, this beautiful passion project, that Monique, my business partner, and I have created feels so right. It feels so aligned. It doesn't feel rushed. It doesn't feel, you know, out of touch. We feel so connected to it, and we're holding it really near and dear to our hearts. And we're just going with the flow, right? One of the things I've learned on the way is move with intention rather than force. And I learned that from my Qigong teacher because anything that you do by force never really feels good and sometimes doesn't end well. So just move with intention. And so we're just moving with the intention to be well as we age. That's what it is for us. That's the goal. That's the big picture, the big dream that we have, being well. And whatever falls under that, for some people it's different. For everybody, they've got their own different, bullet points in terms of what aging well looks and feels like. And we're just open to what that is.
If you had one piece of advice to give someone about our age
Mhm.
who is who has some trepidation or is just outright scared to pursue, chase, follow their dreams, what would you say that might motivate them to pull the trigger?
That's a good question. Oh my God. And I have had so many thoughts over the past month about this and several things. Number one, I've been having this I've been revisiting this idea of midlife, right? I lost a friend a few years ago at 47. So I started thinking, well, what was her midlife? People look at me and they're like, "Oh, you're in midlife." And I'm like, "Well, at 52, 26 would be my midlife, right?" And but I don't know if I'm going to live to be 104. So like, what am I waiting for? I have things to do. My friend didn't get to do a lot of the things that she wanted to do because she was putting off things. She kept putting things off for later. And my advice would be do what you have to do now. Scared? Yes. Feel the fear and do it anyway. There's this saying that the wealthiest place is the cemetery. People literally die with their dreams, and there are so many dreams that are never going to be realized because people are buried with them. And I had a friend who lived to 93 and she was so amazing. She had this beautiful head of gray hair and she would dye it purple. She would take a shot of bourbon every week. And 2 weeks before she passed away, I had to leave the country. So I went to visit her and we hugged it out. And she said to me, and she would always tell us stories. And she said to me, Dixie, life owes me nothing. She says, when you live, live with this feeling that when it comes to the end, that life owes you nothing. And that's what I want to feel. I want to do the things that makes my heart sing. I want to do my soul's work for myself and for others. And I want to live. Yes, we live fearfully, but I want to live abundantly and wildly and vibrantly and just live. So get out there and do it. We're all doing it scared. We're all afraid. We are all trying, some of us loudly and failing, some of us loudly, some quietly, but we're on that same path. We're having a human experience, and in the human experience, there will be times of fear and trepidation, but face it. And if you feel like you can't do it alone, and you shouldn't, find a community, find people, find the dying like folks, find the life in the pause like folks, and find the people who are boldly moving through this life with the fear, but doing it anyway. Just get it, just do it, just do it.
That's golden. That is
Yeah.
golden. I'm motivated, and I was already motivated, but you motivated me the day I met you, and certainly now. Last question: how important is it at this age and older, or even if you're 38, to age with positivity?
Mm.
We see, woe is me, oh, my bursitis is bothering me, or some things that we can't necessarily control. Some things, health-wise, as you and I have discussed, are definitely within our control. But overall, why is it important to age with positivity?
Mm. Love that question again. I mean, you just bring in the questions. Okay, so again, I go back to quoting people because I learned so much from people. there was this one lady on Instagram one day, she was giving the younger kids a bit of a speech, and she said, one of the things that stuck with me was this: the goal is to grow old. Wanting that, I think, is the ultimate goal for everybody. None of us wants to leave the world right now, right? Well, most of us don't. We want to grow old, but we want to do so healthily. There's so much anti-aging, there's so much resisting aging. And I think that's where the problems arise. And I'm going to go back to what I said earlier. Move with intention rather than force. If you don't feel comfortable where you are, there will always be friction. There will always be friction. It is a beautiful thing to be 50. It's a beautiful thing to be 60. It's a beautiful thing to be 90. My grandmother is 90, running through her house to prove to my 8-year-old cousin that she can run fast. I mean, that's gold for me. That's a goal for me as well. So, forget about or release anti-aging, right? Because you are pushing against what you are put on this earth to do, which is to move along this aging continuum, to enjoy every single aspect of it. Every single point on this continuum should be yours to relish in, not to fight against. And it's when the fighting, when you put up your fists and you're going to be like, I'm not doing this. I can't take this. This is not how it's supposed to be because society says it shouldn't be like that. Then that's when the pain starts to exacerbate. That's when we start hating how we look. That's when we start hating the fact that we're aging. Instead of sitting with it, leaning into it, and looking for the beauty within it. Because when you do that, you're also able to recognize the things that needs to be optimized. Like, I need to optimize my nutrition. I need to optimize my movement. I need to optimize my community. I need to optimize my finances, my relationship, my restorative practice, my recreation. That is when the magic happens, when you lean in and you allow that experience to unfold, because it is an experience and it's a beautiful experience when you lean into it, when you accept it. And I use this framework called AAA. So it's usually awareness, acknowledgement or slash acceptance, and then action. When you are aware of something and you are aware that you are aging and that that's going to look different at 50 than it did at 40 and it did at 30 and 20, and you acknowledge that, then and only then can you take the actions to support that, right? So then you can take the actions to support yourself at 50 and support yourself at 60 because what you'll need at 60 is going to be different to what you needed at 50 and at 70 and at 80, but always being in awareness, acknowledging that that's where you are, and then taking the action to match where you are so that you can continue to move along this continuum healthy is the sweet sauce, really.
Another piece of gold.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, last question. First of all, thank you so much.
Aw,
Please tell me where people can find you.
absolutely. So you can find me on social media, on my website, Dixie Lincoln Nichols. That's it. So on Instagram, Dixie Lincoln Nichols, my website, dixielincolnnichols.com, on LinkedIn, on Twitter, everywhere, Dixie Lincoln Nichols.
Thank you so much. This was absolutely perfect.
It was perfect. It was
Yes.
short and sweet and
Yes.
so impactful. I love those questions. Thank you for even reminding me because my answers remind me some of the things that I need to continue doing. So thank you.